And because I couldn't play sports, I couldn't get any good at them. So I was kind of behind everybody when I finally got a chance to play sports, but I loved them. And I worked, I think, pretty hard at them. So I was competent. I was not in any way, shape, or form great, not even close. But I managed to succeed more than I failed and get pretty good at it. And it's like that in math. What you should be looking to do is just constantly learn how to go about your business. So, Joe, what I would suggest is that when you take these quizzes every single day, it doesn't really matter what you get on the quiz. What matters is, why did you get it wrong? And paying attention to that so that you don't repeat the mistakes. Okay, Joe, you're the only one done so far, so here's one for you to follow along with. Okay? Now, let's go through these 4 questions, knowing darn well that what matters is how well you do on them tomorrow. Candace, can you kill lights, please? Okay, so here's what we have. Ready? Number 1, which of the following relations does not represent a function? And this gives you all the different things that go into a function. The first thing that we have is for the function a vertical line test. How many people here remember the vertical line test?
Yeah.
Right, you draw the vertical line. If you draw a vertical line and it only touches the graph once at every vertical line you draw, then it is a function. Now, the thing that makes something not a function is when an input has 2 different outputs, okay? Imagine if you go up to like a soda machine and you hit the button on the soda machine. You put the dollar in, you hit the button on the soda machine, and you went to the soda machine wanting to buy a Coke. So you go buy the Coke. But imagine if when you hit that button, sometimes a Coke comes out and sometimes ginger ale comes out. And maybe you hate ginger ale. You want to know that whatever you input, whatever button you hit, you get one specific output, not 2 different outputs. 2 different outputs messes things up. And that's what happens with a function. So remember, x is inputs. So my inputs are -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And each one of those outputs, or inputs, I'm sorry, only has an output. I don't care that they're all the same. I just care that no matter what button I hit, I know what I'm going to get. But look what happens here. If I press the 3 button, I get a 4. If I press the -3 button, what do I get? But look what happens if I hit the -3 here. I get a -1. So the bottom line is, anytime you see the same x guy, the same domain element repeated, anytime you see that, you know that it's not a function. Okay? You know it's not a function. If you look at this diagram, Joe, if you look at this diagram, 1, 2, 3, and each of them, these are the inputs, the 1 goes to 9, 2 goes to 8, 3 goes to 7. Each input has 1 output. That's what you're looking for. If I took the 1 and did this, that would be bad. You can't have that. Likewise, if I made a graph like this, then the line would hit in 2 places. And for what it's worth, this might be the point 1, 1, and this might be the point 1, -1. And do you see how 1 has 2 different outputs there? So that's where it messes up. So remember, with a function, every input has to have only 1 output. If there's an input, namely an x guy, that has 2 different outputs, then it's not a function. Okay, next up, what's the solution to the system below? Nobody in here knows how to do this.
What?
I don't think you know how to do it. Maybe you do from last year. But we haven't taught it to you. But you know what we have taught you?
What?
We have taught you that whenever you think you have an answer to equations, you can always check them.
Yeah.
So what you really needed to do on this one was to check them. So all you needed to do, the answer is going to be choice D. And look what happens. If I plug in a -2, 3 times -2 is -6. 4 times 1 is +4. And does it -6 + 4 equal -2?
Yes.
Now let's try the bottom. 2 times -2 is -4. -4 times 1 is -4. And 4 negatives and 4 more negatives is 8 negatives, so that checks. So, Davis, what I was trying to get at on this second question, I knew you wouldn't know how to do it. Joe, you're facing completely the wrong way. I knew no one would understand how to do it. However, I also understood that you should know how to check. And checking, if it says X, Y, and Z, and they say X equals, Y equals, Z equals, then you check with X, the Y, and the Z, substituting them in. So now that I've shown you that, I think you should get it right tomorrow, okay? And this is something we're gonna study a lot pretty soon, not too far from now. Which choice is equivalent to this? You have to remember the rule that said, like, if I have X squared times X to the third, what's that gonna be, everybody? X to the fifth, good. So, but notice, the X's stay the same, don't they?
Oh, we don't want.
So the 5 has to stay the same. It has to be choice D, not choice C. Because with choice C, you get 5, 5, 25. This is X, X, X. X stands for anything. So anything to the 2 times anything to the 3 is that same anything to the 5. And lastly, f of x equals 4x minus 5. Find f of 1. To find f of 1, we put a 1 right in here. So I get 4 times 1 minus 5. A lot of people got this one right. 4 times 1 is 4, and negative 5 is negative 1.
Negative 5.
I'm sorry?
Negative 5.
I really didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
Negative 5.
Yeah, I like to look at it as a negative 5. You could look at it as subtract 5. It works the same either way. I like to look at this as 4 positives, 5 negatives. If I put them all together, I get negative 1. Okay? I think that's easier than subtraction. All right, so that's your quiz in a nutshell. Now, I think it's been a while since we did a lot of these kind of questions, and I just said we never even did number 2. So what I want you to do is tonight, make sure that you study this quiz over before you start your homework. Just look at it for maybe 2-3 minutes, and I think you'll remind yourself of the things that you got wrong. Jenny, end the game, come on. Oh, that's Michelle, I'm sorry. All I saw was the long dark hair and the head down. Fight it, find a way to make it happen. Okay, next. Oh. Oh. And today's lesson. Wait, what the heck? All right, so we've been working on this kind of stuff for a few days now. And hopefully, we're getting to the point, hey, listen, I'm not gonna ask you to raise your hand, but I just passed back a bunch of tests. And as I passed back that bunch of tests, there were some people I'm sure were pretty happy with their papers. And then there were some people that I'm sure were frustrated by their score. You need to understand, how well you do is a function of your preparation. It's how well you do in class, how you prepare, how you work. Lenny, pick your head up. Lenny, let's go. When I see someone who's disappointed with their grades, and then I see them talking to each other, well, that's how you got to the point where you were disappointed. So you simply have to say to yourself, look, if I keep that up, I'm gonna keep failing. Was it Einstein that said, what's the definition of insanity? Repeat the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. You know, if it's a hot stove and you keep putting your hand on the hot stove, when do you think it's gonna be cool? It's gonna stay hot. And if you don't pay attention in class, and every time the teacher pauses to catch their breath, you turn to your friend and you start talking to your friend, do you really think you're suddenly gonna get happy with your test grades? It just doesn't work like that. So you need to make a decision. What is it that you wanna do? I really, really wish that I could sit around and eat chocolate chip cookies all day, and Jolly Ranchers, and Snickers bars, and all those other things. But here's a big difference between Shania and I. Shania, God has blessed you with awesome metabolism. And you can eat all that junk food and you look like you look. Thin, in shape, healthy. I eat a chocolate chip cookie.
Oh my God.
I eat another one, boom, boom. I ate another one, all of a sudden it's like, hey. All right, it's just not happening. So I had to learn it took me a long time to figure this out, exactly how my metabolism works. But now I know that if I ride my bike, I ride it up to 160 miles a week, I'm gonna lose weight. If I ride maybe 100 miles a week, 80 miles a week, I maintain my weight, I don't get too heavy, I don't get too light, I stay where I am. And like yesterday, I had one chocolate chip cookie.
Oh my God.
I had a little bag of trail mix. I had breakfast, I had lunch, I had dinner. but I got a monitor as it goes along. I also had a little, you know Halloween size candies?
Yeah.
I had one of those with a Kit Kat bar.
Oh,
So if I do that, I won't gain weight. All right, I'm looking pretty good. But it's been a journey to find this, and last June 25th, I was 274 pounds. And this morning, I'm 230.4, which means I'm 0.5 away from being in the 220s, which would be 45 pounds lost, which is pretty cool. And I want to get to about 222. I hit 222, I'm going to be really happy.
What about 180?
I can't get that thin.
Why?
Because I once got as low as about 215, and I gotta tell you, I looked like I was sick. I just looked too thin. I looked unhealthy. Yeah, I was like 212, 215, somewhere around there, and I was just so thin that people would look at me and say, "Are you sick? Is it your face is so thin, it just doesn't look good." So, not that my face ever looks good, but you know what they were trying to say. So, I think I'm hoping like 222, 221, 223, right around there is good. I'm very happy. The most important thing for me was getting my clothes to fit right. Now the clothes fit. Now what I'm just looking to do is to kind of just settle in a really good shape, really good condition. And then, well, it's good, but I had to learn that about myself. I had to learn my strengths and weaknesses. Now you know what's I got a strength though too. That's a weakness, my metabolism. You want to know one of my strengths is? I was the kid that could walk into class, put his feet up on the desk, never take notes and get hundreds.
What?
Oh, well, I usually made a stupid mistake, so 96, 98. But I could do it, I didn't have to do homework. I just got everything right. My whole life, I've always been able to get stuff
Can I
right.
do it right now?
Oh, absolutely. Whatever you want me to learn, I can learn.
Oh, no, like, he could put his feet up.
Could you? No, absolutely not. So, I could get away with this sort of stuff. You guys, not everybody can do that. But, you asked me to keep a beat? I am so bad. One time, I go to one of those Christian evangelical churches where they play rock music before the service starts. And they're in there playing the rock song, and Jimmy, he's sitting next to me. And, I'm standing up, I'm keeping the beat, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy looks at me after like the fifth song and goes, "Hey, Dad?" I said, "Yeah, bud." He goes, "You do realize that the songs have different beats, right?" You know how bad I am at singing? This is a true story. True story. Not that I ever tell you lies. I don't tell you lies. But true story. I am so bad at singing.
How bad are
A
you?
little louder now. I am so bad at singing.
How bad are you?
I got cut from a church choir. How bad is that? Years of psychotherapy. I got cut from a church choir. So help me God. My family had moved. Oh, this is. Do we have time for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, 55 we're at, right? Yeah. So, my family moved from North Babylon to Bayport. Actually, Blue Point, but Blue Point's one kind of district and stuff. And they wanted to meet new people, and they wanted to, get good friends. So, what's one of the places you can go to meet good friends is church. So, my parents joined a church on a red church on Green Avenue in Salem. Church is still there, it's still red, and it's still on Green Avenue. So, we get in there, and you know what, the first thing we do is we get to meet people, and like, second or third, I was in 5th grade. Second or third week there, they go, "Listen, my parents said, why don't you go out for the choir, go join the kid choir in the church." I said, "All right, I'll go out for the choir." So I go out for the choir, and the lady sits down on a piano, right? And she hits this note all the way on the left end of the piano. She says, "Sing that note." I go, She goes, "All right, let's try this one in the middle here." So she hits one in the middle. She goes, "Sing that one." I go, And then she hits one at the right end of the piano, and she says, "Here, sing this note." I go, She goes, "Yeah, the church needs help with other things." That's exactly what she said to me. Right? I was devastated. I was crushed. There went my music career. So it didn't work out for me. So then they had the first ever, well for me, they had a Christmas pageant. Churches always have Christmas pageants.
Yeah.
So they get a Christmas pageant, you got like, Mary, Joseph, baby Jesus, Magi, all that kind of stuff. And they go rent a few animals from the local farms, and bring up some sheep, and they do this wonderful little get together with the nativity scene, and it's, silent night. Now you know why I was cut. Holy night. So all this other stuff. So they knew I was cut from the church choir. They knew these other things. So when the pastor comes up to me and he says, He says, listen. He says, I got an idea. He says, you're good with words. He says, why don't you write a prayer? And after you write the prayer, when you write the prayer, you can say it at the end of the whole Christmas pageant. And you can close the whole thing, just you. Guess he was trying to make me feel good. So,
God.
so I said, oh, literally. So I said, all right, I can work with this. So I write the prayer, and the next week I come back and I say, you know, Pastor, here's the prayer. And he looks it over and he says, oh, that's a good prayer. That's a good prayer. He says, now you got to go memorize it. He says, so you got like a month, because it was like Thanksgiving time when we started practicing. He says, go study that prayer like crazy. And he says, listen, but when you go to say the prayer at the end of the Christmas pageant, he says, I want you to make sure you got a copy of it in your pocket, just in case you forget it. And then you can take it out of your pocket. Now again, this is, so help me, spot on truth. So, or as you guys would say, for real. So they have the Christmas pageant gets done. Now you gotta look at this or you're gonna miss the effects. Christmas pageant gets done. I go to the front. You guys ever been in church?
Yeah.
They got the pulpit, right? That big wooden stand in the front.
Yeah.
So I go up to the pulpit. Now I'm in 5th grade. I'm a little kid. And my parents, so proud, sitting in the pew. You're like, that's my boy. That's my boy. None of the people next to me. So I remember looking down and seeing like the world's biggest Bible sitting on the pulpit. You ever see the ones they got at church?
Yeah.
They're like, you know, it's just huge. It's honking big. You lift that thing, it's just you pop a hernia. So I start saying the prayer. I don't know whatever the prayer said. Dear God, blah 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 blah. And then I looked up. And I saw everybody looking at me. And I went,
Were you finished or not?
oh,
Oh!
that's exactly the word I said.
Profanity.
Yes, profanity. And my parents went from, my boy, to, and I just remember looking at the congregation and seeing every single person's jaw go. And I'm going like, you know, now panic's setting in. I'm like, and I reach in my pocket because I remember the pastor said, bring the prayer with you. So as I'm taking it out of my pocket, I rip it in half and go, oh God. And my parents are like shrinking in their seats, like the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz, like, I'm shrinking, I'm shrinking.
Oh.
And everybody's like, back Satan! You know? And so that was the first time I ever spoke in public. And you know, the funny thing about that is, I do it for a living now. Right?
Right now.
Well, I teach. I do it every day. So
Oh God.
you can't have a worse beginning than I did. It was pathetic. I was terrible. Yet now I'm pretty good at what I do. So I just want you to know that no matter how bad you think you are at math, you cannot be worse than I was at public speaking. All right? All right, so write the equation of line whose slope is -1, whose y-intercept is 4. Hey, end the game. What's M stand for? Slope. What's B stand for? Y-intercept. Very good. So what does it say the slope is here? -1. So I can put the 1 there if I want, but if I want style, if I want to impress those of the opposite gender, I'm not going to put -1x. I'm going to put -x. All right? And what does B stand for? Y-intercept. So y equals -x plus 4. Okay. Next up. Next up. Write the equation of the line. As soon as it says that, I'm going y equals, I'm thinking mx plus b. Parallel to this guy. Now, what do you know about slopes and parallel lines?
They have the same.
Very good. They have the same slope. So what's the slope of the line I just underlined in blue?
Negative. I mean,
1/2. 8 is not the slope. What is 8?
The line.
The y-intercept. But it has the same y-intercept as this one that I double underlined. What's the y-intercept of the one I double underlined? So the answer is y equals 1/2 x minus 3. Okay? All right, are we good? All right, those should be very comfortable. And remember, by the way, you guys have a test next Friday.
Okay.
And we're putting it all together. Now, you will have first off, there is 5 minutes left in class. Okay, then you better really pay attention. Now, the next one says, what's the equation of the line that passes through 1, -3, that's here, and 3, 5? 2, 4, 5. So, oh, that's slick, I like that. Because here's my perfect y-intercept. What is that y-intercept, everybody?
1 over 2.
-1.
-1, good. And what's my slope?
2.
2 over 1. So my equation is y equals 2x minus 1. Okay? Now, we've done a lot of these lessons the previous few days. It wants it again. Write the equational line that passes through -3, 2. There it is. And 1, -6. 2, 4, 6. What's the slope of this line, everybody?
100
What's the slope of that line?
plus 3.
Down 2 over 1. So the slope is -2 over 1. So it's y equals -2x. And what's the y-intercept? No. What's that y-intercept? 1, 2, 3, what? 4. So it's y equals -2x minus 4. So at this point, we are writing the equational line, draw the 2 points, connect the 2 points, look at the picture to find the slope and the y-intercept. Everybody good on that?
Yeah.
All right. Hasta la vista. Vaya con Dios. Toodaloo. Ta-ta. Arrivederci. Smile a lot. Ciao. Zing. Adios, amigos y amigas. Cheerio. Sayonara. Garushurus. Kudafis. Bye-bye. See ya. Thank you. Thank you. What's up, John? Well, right now, at this time of year, my bike actually has a flat tire, so I ride an exercise bike up in my fly tire room. Yeah.